Oh no, Carlos Sainz. His career has gone up in smoke and he's still on the formation lap. It's an aborted start. Sainz is out. Race start. Lando holds the lead. Oh, there's contact. Max and Kimi. And they're both out. It's Colapinto and Piastri. What the... I'd grab your coat, son. You're done. Hello everyone and welcome back to another brand new video. And before you say anything, yes, I haven't got a shirt on. It's currently 32 degrees in the UK and I am sweating like a pig. Now, you can't see anything, so just get over yourselves, okay? Just get over yourselves. Let's get on with the video. So yes, that was the Austrian Grand Prix. Yes, the Austrian Grand Prix. And I've got to give it a 5 out of 10. But I'll give it a 7 because it had my favourite in it. Yes, a crash. In fact, a couple of crashes. So yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. But for the actual race itself, it's got to be no more than a 5. It was a good battle between the McLaren boys, I have to say. A good battle. That was great. But the rest of the race pretty much was a bit meh once again. So yes, Carlos Sainz on the formation lap. Unfortunately, his brakes completely exploded.
Yeah, there's a fire on the brakes.
On both of them.
So he's got seized rear brakes, hasn't he? I don't know how he's managed to get it going, though.
With smoke pouring out the back of his car. Now, for any new viewers who may be new to Formula One or, you know, have only just joined it in the past few years, you might be asking, well, why did he pull that car all the way out of the way of the garages and park it halfway up the pit exit? Well, the reason for that is quite simple, and that goes back to 1994 with that horrific fire in the pit lane with Jos Verstappen. Let's see if we can see a bit of that now.
There goes the fuel hose. A little bit of a problem. Is that fuel splashing?
So ever since then, there has been a ruling that any kind of smoke or fire within the car, you cannot go anywhere near your pit garage. Nowhere near it at all. You have to drive out of the way. You either have to park it if you're out on the circuit. He did manage to come in though, but he had to go all the way past all the garages because that fire can be very, very dangerous indeed. I'll say that was a direct result of Verstappen's fireball that you just saw there back in 1994. And that rule's always still in place today. You cannot go anywhere near the pits if you've got some kind of fire on your car. So anyway, the race started. We had, after an aborted start, the race started. Sainz unfortunately was out of the Grand Prix. Lando held the lead at the start, but then of course we had contact with Max Verstappen and Kimi Antonelli. Let's have a look at that right now.
But Lando Norris gets the run that he needs, and it's a lock-up for Kimi Andrea Antonelli, and he's hit Max Verstappen.
Verstappen is done. Antonelli steamed in. I think he missed his brake point on the inside. And the problem is the rest of the field are filtering through that tight right-hander at the top of the hill. And Antonelli was locked up and just clobbered. Yeah, 30 out of 10 for ambition for Antonelli. Max has actually made a good start. He's already fighting with those for fourth place here, and then whack.
So yeah, not a lot you can really say about that. A racing incident. Max was very, very gracious. He did not, I mean, he gave it the usual effing idiot, but of course he would do. You're in the heat of the moment, you know, you don't know what's happened. All you know is you've been hit up the Jack Jones and you're out. So you would come out with some expletives. So, you know, that's fine. But once he started talking to Kimi Antonelli, don't forget this kid's only 18 years old. For all the stuff and shit that's thrown at Max Verstappen, he's not, you know, a complete arsehat in that regard. And he knew that that was a racing incident. He even admitted after the race that it's just something that any driver is going to do at some point. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And so he really wasn't that bothered. The only thing I would say about that is that it looks now like Max is very much resigned to the fact that he is not going to be the world champion at the end of the year. I think it's gone now for Max Verstappen. I think he realises it. He knows that. And so he's just trying to do the best job that he can, which I think at the moment is going to be third place. So, yeah, he's just, you know, I think he's done now. We're almost at halfway. And I think he's realised that car is just, that Red Bull is just not fast enough. It's not competitive enough. And yeah, he's looking forward, of course, to 2026 when the regulations get a reset, and then hopefully he'll be back winning races again. I think that's his plan. I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. The Red Bull could be even worse next year. Could be. Lots of changes at Red Bull, as I've mentioned in previous videos about the fact that they're making their own engines next year. That could be a complete and utter disaster, but we will find out about that later. But anyway, so yeah, he was pretty resigned to the fact that, it was just a racing incident. And fair play, it was just a racing incident. He came down, as he said, as Kimi Antonelli said, I just locked my rear brakes, and you saw that he did. In fact, that was rather a hookster move if you think about it. Yes, that's the kind of thing I used to do. Yes, just dive it down the inside, hope for the best, and unfortunately, it didn't work, and he took out Max Verstappen. But he did actually take himself out of the race as well by taking off his front wheel. I do believe he got a free place grid penalty. I did see on the coverage right at the end, come up at the bottom of the screen, it said that he did get a free place penalty for the next Grand Prix, which of course is Silverstone next week for that move. I think that's a little bit harsh, to be honest. A little bit harsh. That was, even Max says it was a racing incident, so I don't quite understand that. But anyway. So we had George Russell. He went up into 4th position after, of course, of the chaos at the start with Maxi and Kimi. And then the safety car went in, and on lap 3 it was time for the green flag again, and away they went. Now on to lap 10. Now the positions at lap 10 was Norris was in 1st, Piastri was in 2nd, 3rd for Charles Leclerc, and 4th, I gotta mention him, Lewis Hamilton. Yes, 5th for Russell and 6th for Alexander Albon, of course. Great result on lap 10 anyway for Alexander Albon. Now let's talk about Hamilton. As you probably saw in the race, there was a little bit of, I don't know what it was, where Lewis came into the pits and he's saying, I don't want to pit. I don't want to pit. But what we were seeing was Lewis already coming in for his pit stop. So I'm presuming that was a delayed radio message, which it usually is. It's usually delayed by about half a lap before we get it. Because I'm pretty sure Lewis wouldn't be saying, as he's pitting, I don't want to pit, I don't want to pit, I don't want to pit. So obviously halfway round before he even got in, he was saying he didn't want to pit because he thought the tyres would go to the end of the race. Fair play to him. And in the end, he finished in 4th position. A great result, but I think he could have finished in 3rd. But of course, we will never know now. We will never know. Still some very strange decisions going on in Ferrari. Very strange indeed. Anyway, up to lap 11. And Piastri, I do believe he briefly took the lead from Lando. They were sort of swapping and changing. It was being very hard to keep up at times. But yeah, but anyway, Lando got it back. And on lap 16, Lando actually ran wide. And I think the team was saying later on in the race, of course, that Lando had some slight damage, which may have been caused by him. That was quite a big off, and he did pick up quite a bit of grass and debris and mud and that. So it's quite possible that the underside, because these cars are absolute beasts and they have to be tip-top performance. Any slight sort of, damage to the underside, and they're really out of it. They really are. So yeah, it probably did have a bit of damage there. And then on lap 16, we had Alex Albon in the other Williams, because of course Carlos Sainz was out right from the start. He was out. What a disastrous race for Williams, and what a disaster for Carlos Sainz. As I said at the start, he's in the wrong team. He's been in the wrong team since it started. He really has. He hasn't got to grips with that car, and he's just not doing very well at all. And all these technical problems are now starting as well. I saw James Vowles on the pit wall. He had that sort of look on his face about I don't know what to do here. I really don't know what to do. And yes, he's coming to Williams, and there's no other word you can say. He's done appallingly so far. He really has. He's done appallingly. I don't know what to say. Could this be another situation where he was good in a certain car, but as soon as he goes onto another car, he's not very good? Is this the Daniel Ricciardo effect, the honey badger? Because he was, of course, pretty decent when he was at Red Bull, and as soon as he went into another car, he showed that actually he wasn't very decent in other cars. Could this be the same with Carlos Sainz? I'm not quite sure, but I know for a fact this was a race winner at Ferrari, and he's now poodling around the back, getting brake fires and not even starting the race. Obviously, that's not his fault, but I don't know. It just seems a very, very weird situation at Williams. And unfortunately, I did predict at the start of the year that Williams were not going to be as great as James Vowles was promoting the team, and it's come to fruition. You know, Alex Albon is doing the best job out of that team at the moment, but it's still not, you know, not even really midfield, you can say, could you? Not really midfield. Anyway, we will hopefully get Williams to improve as the season progresses. And of course, just after that, Yuki Tsunoda and Lance Stroll collided. Yuki had a slight damage to his wing. You saw a little couple of little bits fly off his wing, but that was a strange incident. Then on lap 20, of course, the race positions at that point was Norris in first, second was Piastri, third was Leclerc, fourth was Hamilton, fifth was Bortoleto. Yes, great result for Bortoleto, and sixth was Liam Lawson. Oh my goodness, yes. Anyway, just after that, Lando came into the pits, and then on lap 24, Piastri then came in for his pit stop. Lap 25, Leclerc pitted, and then briefly, Lewis Hamilton was in the lead, only briefly, and on lap 26, Hamilton then came in for his pit stop. So after all the pit stops panned out, on lap 30, Norris was still in the lead, Piastri was second, Leclerc was third, Hamilton was fourth, fifth was Lawson, and sixth was Fernando Alonso. Yes. And then just after that, we had Colapinto, who I'll get to a little bit later on, and Yuki Tsunoda collide. Now, Yuki got the blame for that, obviously, because he got a 10-second penalty. But, yeah, Colapinto, we'll talk about him in a minute. So then it went to lap 40, and at that point, Norris still in the lead, of course, basically from where he'd been from the start. Piastri in second, Leclerc in fourth. In third, in fourth was still Hamilton. So both the Ferraris, you just, you know, making up the numbers, basically. And fifth was Russell, and sixth was Bortoleto still. And then pretty much they stayed where they were. There wasn't really much else to happen for the next 10 laps. It was still Norris, Piastri, Leclerc, Hamilton, but then Bortoleto was in fifth and Ocon was in sixth position. On lap 53, Piastri came in for his stop, so Lando then went back into the lead. And then we got this bizarre incident. I think it's just after lap 53. Colapinto and Piastri. Don't forget Piastri, currently World Championship leader. Yeah, I'll just repeat that. World Championship leader at the moment. Colapinto and Piastri almost touched. Now, Colapinto did get a 5-second penalty for this, but let's have a look at this right now.
It looks like Yuki was trying to get out of the way, and then he was back in the way.
Tsunoda, Colapinto, and Colapinto forces Oscar Piastri onto the grass at high speed.
That was just crazy. It really was. Is he on the last round of his fifth round before they decide what to do with him? I'm not quite sure, but judging on that, I think he possibly needs a trip to Specsavers, because he definitely wasn't using his total awareness mode there, was he? It's bizarre. Pushed Piastri onto the grass and gravel. Now, Piastri could have easily crashed out at that point. Then there would have been an absolute shitstorm. An absolute shitstorm if that had happened. But luckily he kept it together. But yes, very bizarre from Colapinto. His driving standard, I have to say, is not very good. Not very good at all. Then we went to lap 60, and the results at lap 60 was Norris first, Piastri second, Leclerc third, Hamilton fourth, fifth was Russell, sixth was Lawson. And then once again, another 10 laps went by and nothing really happened. Then that was it. The race was over, and the winner was Lando Norris. I've got to say, congratulations to Lando Norris. He did put a foot wrong. He did, step onto the grass and gravel at one point, so he did make a slight mistake, but apart from that, he kept his head together, which is something that he's always complaining that he can't do, but he did keep his head together, and he won the race, so well done to Lando Norris. I just hope he doesn't win the championship, or I'll never live that down, like, ever. In second place was Oscar's Pastry, well done to you. Third was Leclerc, fourth was Hamilton, well done. A great result for Hamilton, just off the podium, unfortunately. But then, of course, that's because his teammate is ahead of him, so there's not a lot he can do about that. Fifth was George the Russell, unfortunately, not repeated his success of the last round. And sixth was Liam Lawson. Yes, he got some serious points in that race. So congratulations to Liam Lawson. So there you go then. That was a pretty average Austrian Grand Prix. And now it's time for our favourite part of the show. Yes, it's time for the results. So we've got just 1 week to go until Silverstone, and let's have a look at the Drivers' Championship table at the moment. In first position is, of course, Oscar's Pastry. He's got 216 points. Now just 15 points behind is Lando Norris in second position. And in third position it is Max Verstappen with 155 points. As I said, I think he's pretty much resigned now to that third place finish. In fourth position, it's George Russell in the Mercedes with 146 points. Fifth place for Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari with 119. And in sixth position, it's Lewis Hamilton with only 91 points, but still there, so that's good for Lewis. In seventh place, it's Kimi Antonelli. What a great season he's had. He's made that one mistake, but I have to say he's been pretty faultless through the rest of the season. So we'll give him that one. 63 points for Kimi Antonelli. Eighth position, it's Alexander Albon for Williams with 42 points. Esti Besti's in ninth place with 23 points in the Haas. And then in 10th position, it's Nico Hülkenberg in the Kick Sauber with 22 points. Isaac Hajar is in 11th place with 21 points. 12th position for Lance Stroll, still with his 14 points. But now Fernando Alonso is now level with him, also with 14 points in 13th place. 14th place goes to Carlos Sainz with just 13 points. Liam Lawson in 15th with 12 points. 16th for Pierre Gasly with 11 points. 17th for Yuki Tsunoda with 10 points. 18th position for Oliver Behrman with 6 points. And Gabriel Bortoleto is in 19th place now with those 4 World Championship points. So he is out of the loser zone. Well done, Gabriel. Well done indeed. And still in the losers, we have Franco Colapinto in 20th position without a single point in the Alpine. And Jack Doohan, of course, who's no longer in Formula 1 apart from testing, in 21st position with no points on the scoreboard. So there you go, everyone. That was the Austrian Grand Prix. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the Grand Prix. Did you think it was great? Did you think it was crap? Whatever. I just love to see those comments fly, so get them in there. Thanks so much for watching. I hope the lack of shirt didn't disturb you too much. If it did, well, tough. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you in the next video.